Welcome to Teen Up, a podcast that digs deeper into the thoughts of teenagers' mind about the wonders of the world.
If you're new here, I'm your host, Isabella.
And I'm Glenn. If you're not, welcome back.
Here is a quick disclaimer. We are two teenagers that are doing our best to research everything. However, we are not experts, so if we offend anyone or say something wrong, we want to apologize in advance. Please email us to tell us what was wrong. Thank you.
This week, we have our guests from Better Late Than Never podcast, Alice, Cassie, and Tanya.
So, would you guys want to start with introducing yourselves?
Yeah, so
Cassie, do you want to start first?
Yeah. I'll just introduce the podcast first, and then we'll introduce ourselves individually.
Okay.
So we are Better Late Than Never, a podcast based on 3 introverted design students who think too much. And the topics that we cover range from creativity, introversion, to like anything personal, like our period experiences. So really just a range of topics. And we started the podcast back in November 2020 during the peak of the pandemic. So it really hasn't been a year yet. And yeah, I mean, we started because, long story short, you guys know that I had a podcast before with my cousin. And then I was just like, oh, I still really want to do it. And then the 3 of us, we just enjoy chatting late at night. And we just realized that we all have the equipment to make a podcast. So yeah, we made a podcast and we've been enjoying it so far. I mean, for me, it's like my baby. It's like, yeah, I'm really proud of it, and we're proud to like share it with you guys.
Hi, I'm Alice. I'm Taiwanese and I study art and design at University of Leeds, but I'm currently in High Wycombe. I mean, I assume no one really knows where it is, but it's around 30 minutes away from London by train. So yeah, I'm doing a placement here currently, away from Tanya and Cassie. Sad. But yeah, I like many aspects of the arts, of course. I like music, visual arts, and writing things sometimes. But then in terms of my artistic practices, I'm more into like digital approaches such as photography and videography. And sometimes I like to illustrate on my sketchbook, which I'm almost done. Ooh, I'm really happy about it. Yeah, I know.
Nice.
Other than the arts, I like to try new things. So I do a lot of sports. I go to the gym sometimes. And then I did Muay Thai when COVID wasn't a thing. And then just a bunch of things, really. I don't really know what to tell you guys about. I mean, if you guys want to ask me any questions, feel free.
That's great.
So yeah, I'm Tanya. I'm the British one. So also a University of Leeds student. I do graphic design, even though personally I regard myself mostly as an artist and illustrator. Yeah, I just like doing crafty stuff, fun things. I don't really know if I exist outside of being creative. A lot of time I just play video games and consume media, but that's all really.
So I'm Cassie, one of the hosts of Better Late Than Never. I'm Taiwanese. I grew up in Taiwan most of my life, but studied in Germany for a bit and then came to the UK for uni. Like Tanya, I studied graphic design at the University of Leeds. And what should I tell you guys? I'm a big foodie. I really like eating. I like chilling and watching movies, shows. Very like
Amen.
Basic.
Yeah, forgot to mention those.
Yeah, we all like food. And then I don't know, just like exploring cities, shopping at artsy or vintage stores, and just having fun with friends, you know?
Great. So let's jump into today's topic. You guys all study arts and design, right?
Yep.
So Our topic today is about art. Starting off with the first question. What do you think is the definition of art?
It's a horribly difficult question.
The bomb. The bomb just dropped.
That's a very good question and a very big question to ask as the first question.
None of us want to answer it.
Who wants to go first? I mean, I wrote some things down. So I think I remember trying to answer this question in art class, and I don't think there's a definite answer. Currently I don't study fine art, but I would say it definitely doesn't go hand in hand with design, which is focus more on like achieving solutions, I would say. I think art is more like a self-expression, and it's about expressing an idea and can be quite personal and could be done in many ways, such as singing, dancing, or painting, etc.
That's a good answer.
I mean, I think I did something very similar. I had to write it down. Obviously, it would come out differently every time you'd ask. But generally, yeah, just something personal, self-expression. It's like, I guess, the products of visualizing thought, feeling, memory, or opinions. So like it can range from being political or just personal enjoyment or coping. So everything, really. Everything and nothing.
Yeah, so abstract. And I think I wrote something similar to both of your answers. I said there isn't a concrete definition of what art is because it's so subjective to everyone's interpretation. But in my opinion, it's like a form of self-expression, of course. It's communicating certain messages to viewers or to themselves. But it's also worth noting that some things don't necessarily have to mean anything. Like maybe just some scribbles or some doodles, they don't have to mean anything, but it could still be a form of art.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's basically it for me.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally agree.
So I actually have like an extra question here. It's about something that I read before, because I know some people are saying that design isn't art. Do you guys agree with this, or do you think design is also art?
Cassie has a lot to
No.
say on this.
Interesting.
I mean,
Cassie.
yeah, I kind of talked about it. It doesn't go hand in hand with design because we said that art is a self-expression, but design it's more about like catering to someone, catering to an audience, and making sure that you are achieving like the best for them. So, for example, like if you're creating a poster for someone, you want to make sure that it's readable and like the title is like very clear so people can see that first. And the same for like designing furniture or anything, like you make sure like people feel comfortable in the chair or whatever. And then art, it's like you don't really need to care about that, you just express yourself. That's what I feel about that. What do you guys think?
But I think in certain ways they do relate to each other because you still have to have like artistic points of view or artistic eye to make good designs that serve a purpose that attract audiences, in my opinion, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. But like I feel like art students and designs like I do agree with Alice, but I feel like art students and design students have a very different mindset because of like the subject. And for me, for example, I'm just always thinking about, oh, how can I make this attractive to people? And I'm not like thinking about, oh, how can I express this my way? Like I do maybe like you can show it in the style, but I think for like art students, they don't focus it as much as I do. What about you, Tanya?
I don't know, I'm not really sure. Like, I feel like design can be an artistic thing.
Yeah.
But then obviously there's also the branch in which it has to be problem solving. I feel like it can be, but it isn't always.
Yeah. I think it's like two circles, like a diagram, and then there's
Venn diagram.
a Venn
Like
diagram.
a Venn diagram, yeah.
And then there's like some overlap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And great points that you guys have brought up. So moving on to this next question. What do you think is the impact of different art forms? For example, photography or painting?
So I think, I wrote like the common impact that they have, instead of their individual impacts. So it's actually a good timing that you guys asked this because the three of us just watched a movie called The Creative Brain, and it talks about how creativity isn't just about arts, about science, technology, writing, etc. And then they talked about how creativity can transform people's lives. And the example that they brought is like creative writing for prisoners in the United States. And it really helped them like reflect on their life and express their feelings, etc. And I think that's the same effect for art and for any art form. And knowing that there's art therapy, and it doesn't matter if it's photography or painting, the commonality is that it can be healing for people.
So it really like depends on the artist, right? Like whatever form they are most comfortable using,
Yeah.
and whatever form they think they can best have the impact that they want.
And it also brings people together, because when like an artist expresses one idea, and then if someone else could relate to that, it can bring like a little community, which is quite beautiful.
Yeah. I think different art forms enable people to also get new insights about things that they haven't thought about so deeply before, and sometimes it can also challenge some a person's point of views and perspectives. And it's good to have a variety of art forms because people choose to express themselves differently. And if everybody uses the same art form, even though the expressed ideas may be different, the form and medium could potentially pose limitations. So having different tools and forms allow us to expand and express more liberally, and it just kind of makes the world a more interesting place, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's like film and photography. If you're just shooting one frame, then that's only like so much story you can tell in one frame. But if it's like a whole movie, like a whole film, then you can show like very deep emotions, and you can tell a very complete story.
And lastly, it just makes people happy, I guess, because you just have a good time doing art with friends. And yeah, in terms of the impact on the world, I feel like, for example, like photography, it can spread awareness about serious issues. There was this documentary that we watched. There was this photographer called Platon. What's his name? Platon? I don't remember. Yeah. He just he recorded sexual assault cases in Africa, which was very powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you guys answered this next question. How is it important to human development? Yeah, you guys brought up how like art therapy, creating a community, and definitely expressing what the artist is thinking, and yeah, like talking about social issues as well. So, do you think everyone is an artist?
In broad terms, probably everyone can be, because it just can encompass so many different mediums. And like generally it's just self-expression, so everyone can express themselves in any way that can be artistic. Obviously it's different from professionally being an artist, but obviously it's also a skill you have to learn, so not everyone may be good at being an artist immediately, so everyone can be eventually.
Yeah. I think my answer is a bit similar to yours, because I mean the definition of art of what an artist is so vague and again subjective, right? So honestly, like in my opinion, I think an artist should be able to take their thoughts and like those abstract beliefs and concretize them through make them like physically, well, not exactly physically there, but you know what I mean, just express it in a certain way. So my thought is that everyone has the potential to be an artist because everybody has experiences, thoughts, and emotions that they want to express. But then to actually become one professionally, I think it takes a lot to effectively express what they want to illustrate. So yeah.
I totally agree with what Alice and Tanya said. Yes, I think anyone is an artist at heart, but an artist as a profession is another story. Like for me, to become an artist, I think you'll have to know more about how you can express it effectively, as what Alice said. And for me, I wouldn't introduce myself as an artist because I would say I'm a designer. So yeah, I think it really depends on how people want to label themselves as.
So, yeah, I totally agree that it really depends on the person themselves. We thought of this question because I think we were talking about abstract art and how like Picasso could just, make art, and like people who go to the museums would say like, "Oh, I could totally draw that." But then it's still somewhat different, and research have shown that people could actually tell if it is drawn by an artist or just a normal person.
That's interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. I think it was something about like how a real artist really plans it out, while like maybe a child draws it. They don't really plan anything. They just do what they want. Yeah.
But then I feel like some forms of arts, they don't necessarily need planning either. So I mean,
True.
like I would be interested to see this research, but it's really interesting to hear.
So moving on to the last question. What does art personally mean to you? And would you introduce yourself as an artist? I know Cassie just explained that she wouldn't, but what about the other two?
Me? Well, to me, I am horrible at communicating. I do not know how to use words. So art to me is the best way of like expressing myself and like connecting with people. It's like obviously I like to draw things that I enjoy and share that with the communities who also enjoy those things. So obviously helps me communicate things. To introduce myself, I'm mostly an illustrator. I draw anime stuff. People like to say that's fake and not really art, but like I'm drawing, so it counts to me. Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to make people enjoy things. It's a bit cringe, but I think it'd be cool to inspire people, you know?
Cute.
Yeah, and Tanya, by the way, Tanya does all the illustration for our podcast, so she's super talented.
She is,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
I like your page.
Woo.
It's really cute.
Oh,
Thank you.
well, I guess I'll carry on then. What does art personally mean to me? Well, I think I've previously mentioned that art is a means of expression to me. I like to put like my ideas, my beliefs, and most of all my feelings into just means of art through different mediums, whether it be photography, video, or illustration, anything. Of course, there are times when my pieces don't mean anything. That's just, just putting it out there. But I think sometimes I struggle to explain complicated ideas with words. So I like to abstractify them and allow people to interpret them however they want. So in my opinion, I think I would like art to have some sort of impact, whether it be like negative feelings or positive feelings or no feelings at all. They're all kinds of impact to me. And regarding whether or not I would like to introduce myself as an artist, you know what? I actually didn't. So I actually subconsciously denied myself, denied calling myself an artist back then for some reason, for a big chunk of my life, because I was like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not like mature enough as an artist. But then now I feel like maybe my mindset has changed. I don't know. But I think I would introduce myself as an artist, maybe because I consider myself artistic and creative, hopefully.
You are. You
yeah,
are.
sorry.
Yeah. Anyone who makes art is an artist.
I think Alice has like this very interesting point of how you didn't consider yourself as an artist because you think you're maybe not as good as others, or you don't think yourself as like very mature as an artist. I think like it's another topic that people talk about, like how do you become an artist? Like, because it's like the definition of what an artist is, right? And I think what you guys all agreed on it was that it is just a label that people put on themselves. So Tanya, like you said, you identify yourself as an illustrator. Like you will introduce to yourself to others, say, oh, I'm an illustrator. But, that could be an artist. And Cassie, you say you will introduce yourself as a designer, and that could also be an artist. Like there isn't really a definition for artist. So I just think that, everybody could introduce themselves as an artist no matter what. But the interesting thing is that sometimes the best people like doing whatever they are doing, like maybe you're an amazing illustrator or you're an amazing photographer. Sometimes they just They don't think of themselves as an artist. They maybe think they're not good enough, like what Alice said. And I just think that's another interesting thing that people do.
Do you, Glenn, do you consider yourself an artist? Because you do photography.
I wouldn't necessarily introduce myself as an artist.
So you would say you're a photographer.
Yeah, but it's not like the main thing that I do.
Just because it's like a hobby on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that was the last question. Your answers are all really great and has definitely brought a lot of different perspectives that I have personally never thought about. And yeah, thank you guys for being here. It was
Thank you
great.
for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us, really.
Thank you guys so much for coming, and remember to check out their podcast, Better Late Than Never.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Remember to like, subscribe, and share our channel.
Also, comment down below if you have any thoughts. You could click on the bell to get notified when we upload a new video as well.
Thank you and bye.